we would invite uh, somebody who is very special, that came from a special place, that was molded right from a special place, right in Nusrat Senior Secondary School. We love our people, we appreciate our people, and that is, would be having, of course, the current government spokesperson responsible also for diaspora affairs, a man who is very much passionate about writing, who has been writing vastly, who is also very much passionate about media and, of course, several other things that he's been doing. Just to make it very short, ladies and gentlemen, our guest speaker, one of our guest speakers that will be giving his statement this afternoon with us is not only a former student of the school, but when he was here, he was one of the greatest. And when I say one of the greatest, he was head boy of Nusrat Senior Secondary School. He was head boy of Nusrat Senior Secondary School. Ladies and gentlemen, I humbly welcome to you all our guest speaker, one of our guest speakers for this event, that is Honorable Ebrima Sankareh, who is the government spokesperson responsible also for diaspora affairs. Mr. Honorable Sankareh, you are welcome to give your statement. He will be talking to us on a very important subject, which is a subject that has been all along talked about, which is, of course, the role of patriotism and discipline in nation building. Role of patriotism and discipline in nation building. Give a round of applause to Ebrima Sankareh.
Mr. Chairman, members of the Gambia Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat, members of the Governor's Nusrat Senior Secondary School, the Graduation Committee, Principal Nusrat Senior Secondary School, academic and ancillary staff, parents, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, members of the press corps, graduating class of 2022, and may I say, my fellow students or fellow Nusratarians, past and present, Assalamu alaikum, and a very good Sunday morning, I guess now it's an afternoon, to all of you. Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, it was an honor, or it is an honor, no less a privilege, to be chosen graduation guest speaker among Nusrat's legion of past students. Inarguably, a very rich reservoir, a diverse and productive pool of alumni that has touched and continues to touch every facet of Gambian life, from central government to every sector of the Gambia, and even globally. We see Nusrat alumni playing significant roles that continue to positively impact the lives of citizens. This is why, when I received the phone call invited me to Nusrat as guest speaker, I cautiously asked the caller, "Really, Nusrat, really?" And he said, "Yes, sir. But given your busy schedule, we decided to call and confirm your presence before we'll dispatch your invitation letter." And I said, "Well, since it's Nusrat, I'll endeavor to come and serve my alma mater, even if it means driving all the way from Mankamankunda, where the president is currently vacationing." And so I decided to honor your invitation to come to Nusrat. I therefore return thanks to Allah, the Almighty, for giving me the health and the strength to be able to return to my alma mater. I equally return thanks to the graduation committee, the principal, Mr. Mamadi Sise, and staff for trusting me as their guest speaker to this premier institution. A champion in the transfer of knowledge, a towering giant and fountain where many scholars have passed through, a classical academy of phenomenal repute, a trailblazer and center of academic excellence in the molding and character formation of future generations. Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, Nusrat High School, now Nusrat Senior Secondary School, is my academic home. It was here some 3 decades ago that I was exposed to the discipline and rigors of serious learning. And standing here today brings me memories of my boyhood. It's somewhat kaleidoscopic today. That today, as I mentally try to recapitulate, contrast, and decipher the changing scenes and shifting images of Nusrat through yesteryears with what I see unfold before us just now, the drama guys. In moments like this, one reminisces, and through this, one is struck with old memories and with them nostalgia and emotion. It was here at Nusrat that I met the literary scholar and former Gambian Chief Justice, the late Mr. Abdul Karim Savage, A.K. Savage, the Ghanaian economist, George K. Annan, the Gambian historian and economist, Eliman Yai, the Gambian historian and prolific author, Patience Sonko Godwin, the literary scholar and current Vice President, His Excellency Badara Aliyu Diouf, and no less a person than the celebrated mathematician, Mr. Karamo Boya, whose name is now synonymous with Nusrat. To all of these educators, legends in their own rights, past and present, I say thank you so very much for standing towards so many students in the position of parents, which really is the role of every good teacher. In educational psychology, we are taught and reminded that good teachers stand towards their students in loco parentis, as in the position of parents. Paraphrasing Dr. Samuel Johnson, the English lexicographer and founder of the English Dictionary, my former literature teacher here at Nusrat always told us, quote, "You ought to be tired of Nusrat if you are tired of learning." In that sense, therefore, Nusrat High School has a reputation for solid and very rigorous academic standards as a center of excellence and a fountain of knowledge. Therefore, Mr. Chairman, Board of Governors, Nusrat Senior Secondary School, teachers, parents, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, and the graduating class of 2022. My theme of discussion this morning is anchored in 3 words: discipline, patriotism, and tenacity. Before I proceed, I just want to make an observation. When I left Nusrat High School and then proceeded to the 6th form at St. Augustine's, there were only 2 schools in the Gambia that had 6th form education: Gambia High School and St. Augustine's. So you have to work extremely hard to go to either of the 6th forms there. Gambia High School if you were a science student, and St. Augustine's if you wanted to do science, if you wanted to do arts or commerce. The lawyer, Lamin Kamara, my good brother, was a head boy here. He went to St. Augustine's like I did, because that was the school that offered the arts classes. But that's not the point I'm trying to make here. The point I'm trying to make is when I first went to St. Augustine's, having been a head boy in Nusrat here, and the discipline that actually pervaded the entire corridors of Nusrat. Each time we had so much noise at St. Augustine's, we thought there was a student demonstration. Because as Nusratarians, we were not used to that kind of commotion. People were just gentle and calm. In class and here at the assembly hall, people would come and they would not even notice there were students sitting. We were all focused. When we had guest speakers, we wanted to listen to them so that we can also learn from them. So this is one message I have for you. That living Nusrat, this was a culture shock when I went to St. Augustine's. That the students didn't just mind. They were so democratic. They could say anything. So that was Nusrat High School for you. just to digress. So I must confess, however, that when the graduation committee invited me, they suggested that I dwell on the role of discipline and patriotism in nation building. As a former Nusrat student and conscious of Nusrat's stringent disciplinary measures or rules, I wasted no time in agreeing with the suggested topic. But with your kind permission, I've deliberately added this word, tenacity. Tenacity. And at the end of this speech, I hope its addition will be appreciated and its relevance noticed. But what are these words after all? Simply put, discipline means training that makes people obedient with the capacity to control themselves even under very difficult circumstances. If you are disciplined and you graduate from Nusrat High School, the Accountant General's Department is looking for the best accounting graduating students. And the guy from Nusrat is given this position. And you go to the Accountant General's Department. However, your father and mother are not privileged. They happen to be one of the poorest Gambians, as poor as my parents. And you have millions of Gambian dollars littered before you every day. There is a temptation to steal money so that you could also upgrade your family circumstances. However, with the discipline imbued in you from Nusrat, you would tend to ignore the temptations to be corrupt. That is one hallmark of what discipline does to a human being. It would help you, it would guide you, it would shepherd you, like a shepherd would shepherd his cattle from grazing other people's farmlands. That is one significant role of discipline in nation building. Patriotism. Simply put, it means love and affection for one's country, homeland, and territory. Patriotism is love for country. Historically, patriotism and nationalism were one. But as societies evolved and nations developed, today philosophers and political scientists have agreed that now these two words have to go its own separate ways. Because while patriotism means love and affection for one's country, that whatever your country does that is good, you're going to appreciate it. Patriotism also means that when your country is doing something bad, you must also have to speak truth to power. You must not be silent. You must speak up to power whenever people in power are going wrong. Nationalism, on the other hand, means to love your country, love your nation. But in its present format, nationalism is a very dangerous word. The United States of America just recently had a president called Donald Trump. Donald Trump had serious problems with the whole world because he was an ultra-nationalist. His nationalism was that anything American is good, and anything non-American is alien, is foreign, and therefore not good. Every problem in America is caused by immigrants. So too much nationalism borders on xenophobia, on what they call jingoism, and what they call chauvinistic stupidity. So there is a serious distinction, therefore, between patriotism, chauvinism, nationalism, and jingoism. And I hope Nusrat has trained you to be real patriots. Then the last word that I added is tenacity. Tenacity means persistent determination, relentlessness, or doggedness. May I argue that one can be patriotic and highly disciplined. However, with the absence of zeal, the drive, the determination, and or motivation, in sum, the tenacity. If you lack tenacity, therefore, is the crucible with which tenacity to excel, then one's discipline and sense of patriotism are destined to fail. Tenacity, therefore, is the crucible. It's like a vessel. It's the crucible with which we navigate the stormy seas of nation building. Because to build a nation requires very serious-minded people, courageous camaraderie, selfless men and women, united in purpose and determined to fight the menace of poverty, the corrosive cancer of corruption, inequality, impunity, injustice, oppression, repression, suppression, and tyranny. Nation building transcends the flying of colorful flags, the singing of melodious national anthems, and the marching of mighty armies and police bands. Yes, they are very crucial. It's good to have a national flag, to have a national anthem, to have an army band, police band, and all those instruments of political power. Yet, absent discipline, absent patriotism, absent tenacity, they are just empty rhetoric with no meaning whatsoever. While those no doubt symbolize nationhood and independence, we need a very disciplined and patriotic population determined to significantly transform the lives of its citizens at all times. Like a trinity, therefore, discipline, patriotism, and tenacity are inextricably interconnected, very crucial elements in nation building. If a population is highly disciplined, profoundly in love with its country, and doggedly determined, or do we say tenacious, in its dream of a better and more progressive society, that population, no matter how long it takes, will eventually cross the Rubicon, as it were. No challenge or task, Mr. Chairman, is insurmountable for a disciplined, patriotic, and tenacious citizenry. Mr. Chairman, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, as I congratulate both parents and their children, the graduating class of 2022, for their combined hard work and perseverance in completing a major milestone in their educational career, may I encourage the class of 2022 to remain disciplined, patriotic, and tenacious as they exit Nusrat Senior Secondary School, and now poised to conquer the heavens, as it were. For conquering the heavens, both literally and metaphorically, is no mean feat. It requires dogged determination and not cowardice, because the world outside of the academic corridors or the world out of the academic corridors of Nusrat Senior School is so complex, so tough, so cruel, and so beautiful, or yet so beautiful, with limitless opportunities for the brave, those who are always curious to discover new frontiers of knowledge, new ideas, new businesses and vocational skills, new opportunities to seize and transform their situations, those constantly yearning to achieve no matter how rough or how tough the circumstances. Mr. Chairman, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, parents, teachers, and students, talking about greatness, in his text, Twelfth Night, the legendary English poet, dramatist, and playwright William Shakespeare once cautioned his audience, "Be not afraid of greatness. Some people are born great, some people acquire greatness, but some people have greatness thrust on them." How many of you here were born great in this hall? How many? Well, if you were born great, I admire you, because I wasn't. And nobody ever trusted greatness on me. I think I still have not acquired greatness. But every day, on a daily basis, when I wake up, before I go to bed, I would try to read a novel or a chapter in a book to see whether that can help me change my life, whether it could help me acquire greatness. So yes, Shakespeare said, you should not be afraid of greatness. And today, I must confess, I'm very jealous, because when I graduated from Nusrat, I didn't have a gown to wear. The school rules didn't allow us to wear gowns. I had a blue long trousers and a shirt. And I actually came here in a suit, because I was at the sixth form, so I had a blazer. But at the time we graduated from Nusrat, we didn't have this colorful regalia. graduation regalia, or gown, we call it. So as you exit Nusrat, I would encourage you and implore you not to be afraid of greatness. What did the great writer and poet say just now? He said, do not be afraid of greatness. Some people are born great. Some people acquire greatness. Some people have greatness thrust on them. You may not be born great. Nobody may have given you greatness, but through your own determination, your own drive, and the word again is tenacity, tenaciousness, doggedness, relentlessness, you can acquire greatness by your own efforts. And as Nusratarians, I would implore you to take this home and remember that yes, I wasn't born great. Yes, nobody gave me greatness. Yes, but I can give myself greatness. So try to be great. We have talked about patriotism. Patriotism, as I said, comes in different forms and shapes. I am now going to use a South African writer and poet. Some of you in literature may be familiar with his work. He died now, Dennis Vincent Brutus, or Dennis Brutus. He wrote a poem called A Troubadour I Traverse. A troubadour in European culture and history is a person who walks at night. Like here in Africa, we have the village crier. They will hit the tama or the drum, and they'll make announcements. You know that somebody's wife has given birth, and or there's fire accident, or somebody died, or somebody is going to be wedded tomorrow. You know, so that's what they call a night rider in European culture. So Vincent Brutus was a professor of literature at the university in Zimbabwe. He was white, half black. The apartheid regime in South Africa had accommodated him, given his mixed background, that he could actually blend in, you know, and there was no discrimination against him. However, Dennis Brutus felt that his country was wrong, was morally wrong and morally bankrupt, that you cannot have a society that gives privilege to one set of citizens and then discriminates against another set of citizens. So he wrote A Troubadour I Traversed to show that he was always like a troubadour that was traversing his vast land, South Africa. He went to jail in South Africa because he wouldn't relent. Remember, a couple of minutes ago, I told you, patriotism doesn't mean that you always have to listen to what your government says. Sometimes your government gets it wrong. And as a patriot, you have to tell them. You have to speak truth to the powers that be. So he took to poetry and to writing and to drama to educate the South African people that yes, I'm white, but as long as the black man is not free in this country, I cannot be free. He went to jail, but eventually South Africa became a free nation. He was exiled in America as a professor. He came back and he died recently. So in one of his popular lines of poetry, a poem captioned, it is a constant image of your face, talking about South Africa as a country. He wrote, I quote, "My land takes precedence of all my loves." Yes, everybody has loved ones. But Dennis Vincent Brutus says, my land, South Africa, takes precedence over all my loves. When you live here today, I want you to be like Dennis Brutus or Dennis Vincent Brutus. Gambia, the love for Gambia should take precedence over all your loves. The love for your mom, your girlfriend, your wife, your children. Your country needs to be loved. If the Gambia does not see peace, you cannot raise a family in a chaotic, anachronistic society. So therefore, love for one's country is very crucial. It's a crucial element in the life of every citizen, man or woman, boy or girl. You can have A in all your subjects. You can go and be whatever position in life. So long as your country is in chaos, it is meaningless. This is why when I left Gambia after the 1994 coup. I went to America to study and to naturalize eventually. When I graduated from university, what did I do? I could have come home and go and talk to the dictator and get a job, and 2 days later I'll be sacked and sent to Mile 2 prisons. I decided to open a newspaper in America. And the newspaper, I call it the Gambia Echo. Whatever happens in the Gambia would echo all over the world. I opened this newspaper. I took my own money that I saved. I deprived my family and my children. I bought computers. And at the basement of my bedroom in North Carolina, Raleigh, where I went to school, I opened the Gambia Echo newspaper in 2006, June 2006. In a matter of 10 years, the paper, like other people were doing, had helped in rattling the cage of the tyrant at State House. The paper, at the time I was coming home, had over 20 million readers all over the world. The Gambia Echo newspaper. So that is what you do when you love your country. You can go somewhere, you can be a millionaire or a billionaire or whatever, but as long as your country is absent in the equation of your business, then your learning really is meaningless. The famous Jewish scholar who also fled Germany during Hitler's, war against his genocidal regime, Professor Theodore Adorno, he once wrote in his books, to those of us denied a homeland, to those of us denied a homeland, he said, writing becomes home. Listen to how powerful this statement is. You were born in the Gambia. A tyrant came and denied you to live here. You are exiled in England or in Saudi Arabia or wherever. You are denied your homeland. So you have a new home. Is it America? No. England? No. He said, writing. Writing is his new land. Professor Theodore Adorno. So patriotism also comes in different ways. And I have a story to tell you, a fictional story that happened in the United States. Some of you who studied economics, you know Adam Smith and his text, The Inquiry into the Wealth of Nations. It was published in 1776. It was 1776 when Adam Smith published his text from the gutters of Oxford that America also had independence. July 4th, 1776. People who have imagination, who have intelligence and intellect, would contribute towards society in different ways. I was a writer at the time called Washington Irving. Irving created a character, and the character is the title of the book. So in literature, we say he was the titular character, and his name was Rip Van Winkle. Rip Van Winkle, in Irving's text, was a New Yorker. He lived in New York by the Hudson River. He left New York with his dog. He crossed the Hudson River and went up the mountain, the Catskills Mountains in New York City, with his dog, with his cage, and he was drinking alcohol, always drinking and sleeping. So the man went up the mountains and he slept there for half a century, 25 years. Rip Van Winkle was sleeping when the Americans were fighting for their independence. 25 years hence, he returned to his old place. When he was climbing the mountains, he went past a flag of the Union Jack, of the British colonial flag. He also passed a picture of King George V from Great Britain, England. But when he returned, his dog had actually starved and died. But the sleeper was just drinking alcohol and sleeping for 25 years. As he descended the mountains, he saw a flag with stars fluttering. and across it says the United States of America. He saw people talking about democracy, human rights, constitutional due process, civic education, voting rights, and he was confused because he didn't know. He wasn't familiar with this democracy. He wasn't familiar with the vocabulary. Democracy, a man who went up the hill when his country was a colonial state. They were paying taxes to England and they were never rewarded. So what the writer has done here is to tell you that the greatest liability of history is to sleep when profound changes are taking place in your home. Never sleep, and never sleep when your people are working to develop your country. Otherwise, when you return home, you will be like Rip Van Winkle. You will be a liability of history. And I don't think anybody here wants to be a historical liability. I don't want to be, and I hope you don't. Therefore, Mr. Chairman, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, as I leave the podium, I'm going to leave you with the words of the Scottish writer, Ballantyne. In his book, The Coral Islands, when the book was about to end, you know, the British people were always out colonizing people, conquering people, dominating people. So these characters went to the Coral Islands. And when the book is about to end, the characters were so sad. And the writer thought about something that is profound. And he said, that is about parting, about farewell. Today you are all going to say bye-bye. And Ballantyne said, and I quote, "To part is the lot of all mankind. The world is a scene of constant leave-taking. And the hands that grasp in cordial greetings are doomed ere long to unite when the quivering lips pronounce the word farewell." So as you pronounce your own words of farewell, I ask you never to forget Nusrat High School, to continue to be good boys and girls, and later men and women. And as you go to colleges and universities and training institutions around the world, be Nusrat High School's ambassadors. Because if you do so, you will also inspire future generations. I stood here 30-something years ago and gave a valedictory speech. Little did I know that some 30-something years later, I'll be invited to my alma mater as a guest speaker. So the discipline at Nusrat, the hard work, the patriotism, the tenacity that you have all learned here should not just evaporate when you leave the corridors today. It should stay with you for eternity, for the rest of your life. And on that note, I return thanks to God, and I thank your parents for their hard work, and I wish you well and success in life. I thank you so very much. Thank you.